Hi guys, so here's the box that I'm going to be using to make all this magic happen. This is the Sewell Manta. I did an unboxing video in an earlier video that you can see on the channel. And this is a VGA to HDMI converter. And it advertises that it does resolutions, but that do not include good DOS resolutions. But it actually does scale some of those resolutions just fine from VGA to HDMI. And what I'm going to be doing is plugging all of the stuff in here, the VGA cable output from my PC, the audio from the sound card, and it's going to output to HDMI, and that's going to my 65-inch Samsung 4K LED TV. Now, it doesn't really matter that it's 4K because this thing is only going to be doing 1080p at a maximum anyway, and upscaling DOS signals to that resolution. I don't even know if that's possible right now given what hardware options we have. Maybe with some extraordinarily expensive conversion hardware there is a possibility, but from my understanding right now, the FrameMeister, which I do have, does not do anything with VGA signal directly. You need some extra converter boxes, which would end up giving you something like this anyway. And the OSSC, the open source scan converter, also doesn't properly handle those signals. Now, I haven't tested the OSSC, but I would like to test it, and I plan on purchasing one of those to see eventually. But from what I've been told from other members of the FrameMeister and OSSC club on the Facebook group, they've told me that it does not work just plugging directly in from a DOS PC. And that's the main purpose of this video, is to show you that I'm going to be using an actual legit DOS PC. This is a Compaq Presario 9234. It's actually a Pentium 120 machine. Not terribly relevant for our tests, but I just want to show that it's actual somewhat period hardware. Okay, so let me plug this thing in and then I'll show you what that looks like and what I need to do. So firstly, VGA, this is going to go from the computer into here. The video card, or in my case, just an onboard video card. The audio, in my case, is going to come from the sound card, which is an AWE64 Gold Creative SoundBlaster card, and it's going to go from the 8th. It's actually not an 1/8 inch out on the AWE64. I'll show you what it is. On the AWE64, it is actually 2 RCAs, and I don't know if you can see that. You should be able to see that. But anyway, I'm going to need a cable that converts that signal as well. That's actually a lot easier to find. And then it's going to go to this guy, which is like the 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch stereo headphone jack. So one end is going to go in here. One end is going to go to from the sound card, and then the HDMI signal will actually carry both the audio and the video signal from here. So remember, VGA is just carrying your video, so it's not enough to just simply convert the video. You also need to convert the audio. You could actually just plug into a separate audio source if you're going to use a separate audio source, but a lot of folks, myself included, have nicer hardware for this. I have this LG soundbar, which is an older one, but it's nice. It's got a subwoofer, so if I want to get a little bit better sound, that's what I need to do. Okay, so this box is all plugged up now, and as you can see, there's the HDMI cable, this is the power cable, and the VGA and the sound card cable. And what I also wanted to show you here is, let's see if we can get this to flip around. Right here it says 720p and 1080p, and there's a switch, and right now it's on 1080p. The only reason I would suggest that you use 720p is if you've got an older CRT HDTV that only supports up to 720p, but otherwise I would leave it at 1080p because either way it's going to be scaling the signal. Okay, so everything's plugged in. The Manta is actually outputting signal right now to the TV. As you can see, it says no signal and a little floating dialog box that kind of has like a little bit of a Final Fantasy VII vibe to it. So now we're going to fire up the computer and see what happens. And there we go. I hear the computer turning on. And there it is, Compaq Presario. It's going to go through some tests. I'm going to skip all this and skip to the DOS window for you. And there we go, MS-DOS is now starting. This is a lovely little menu that Phil of Philscomputerlab channel made, and I love it. Saves me a lot of time. You should definitely check his videos out. He's kind of the DOS retro hardware expert. And there we go. It's booting everything. You can see it loading in the sound drivers for the SoundBlaster. All right, so let's try out a couple of games. The first one I got up here is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I love this game. Lucasfilm classic, point and click. And I hear it, but it's very quiet. So let me turn this up a bit. And you can see it's working and it looks really good. It looks really good. It actually sounds really good. The one thing to note is that this isn't a 16:9 resolution that it is outputting to, because 1080p is a 16:9 format, which is a modern television widescreen format. So it is going to be, the image is going to be a little bit stretched. What we can do is change the settings on television to reflect that if we want. The Manta is outputting to 1080p, which is expecting a 16:9 resolution. That's probably why we're getting cut off when we use the 4:3. But I think there's an option that we might be able to click a button on the Manta that says auto, and it may actually format this properly for us. So let's see what happens. I'm going to press that button now. Auto config. And that's actually made it a lot worse. Let's try it again. Nope. No luck there. So let's go back to 16:9. And let's press auto config one more time. It's still a little ugly. Let's see if I can get the fit to screen on auto. And that's worse, and that's on, and that's a little bit better. Okay, there we go. And obviously, I'm actually noticing very little or no lag. This plays just fine, which is really nice. You can see that there's some issues. Right now the dialogue's actually being cut off at the top. So I wonder if this is detecting there's just black screen up here. So maybe I'll need to test a more full screen game to figure that out. Alright, so this game was a special request by one of the guys in the Long Island Retro Gaming group, and I wanted to give him an idea of what Leisure Suit Larry 1 would look like. And this is the VGA version of Leisure Suit Larry 1. Let's see what it looks like. Looks pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good too. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have any support for the AWE32 card or anything like that. It does have MT32 support, but I don't unfortunately own an MT32 at this time. So I am seeing that it's a little bit off, but it looks pretty good. It's a little bit off center. Okay. How old are we? Over 100. Oh, no, you're not. Oh! Let's try that one more. So let's try this again. This is like the third time I've tried this now. Okay. Bourbon Street is in New Orleans. Okay, let's see. What color was the dotted line at the bottom? I gotta look at the copy protection for this. The answer is navy blue. Alright, there we go. And there he is. There's our guy, and the game works. There you go. Well, I think that one's working fine, so yep, I would say that this is a good option. This little box is a good option for this game. Alright, the next game I want to test is The Legend of Kyrandia. It's a Westwood Studios game, and this is a CD-ROM game. I just put the CD-ROM in there, and I think this is one of the most fantastic looking point-and-click adventures there is for DOS. Yeah, and that just looks fantastic. I don't know how well it's coming through on the video because I'm filming literally the TV, but it really looks great.
Malcolm the Jester is broken free. He now controls the Kyra Gem, source of all the magic in Kyrandia. Once a favorite of the court, he killed the king and seized the gem. Imprisoned by the royal mystics, Malcolm was held for 18 years. But now the mystic spell has slipped, and vengeful Malcolm enjoys free reign.
Very nice.
You dare trick me? But no, something special for you, a humorous hex. But I shall give fair warning, don't jump on that tree. Ooh. 'Tis funnier that way, is it not?
Dear Bryn, Malcolm has broken free.
Well, I hope that's coming across, but it really looks fantastic.
Please help Brandon.
Greetings, Calic, powerful leader of the royal mystics. Did I frighten
So anyway, this one works fantastically.
I heard yesterday
I'm not going to
you
show
were sick.
too much more of
Have
this.
expected you before now.
Why would I write?
Alright, the next game I want to run is Raptor, which has phenomenal sound, music, and is one of the best, graphics are great, best shmups by Apogee, probably on DOS overall. Might even be the best one there is. Sounds great. Looks great. And I'm using the SoundBlaster AWE32 mode, which is compatible with the AWE64. And it gives you just better MIDI sound, because I don't have an external MIDI device hooked up. Nice. Alright, let's just go and load mission real quick. Fly mission so we can see what the heck it looks like. I just autopilot. Yeah, and it's running fantastic, and the lag to me is not really noticeable if there is any, which I'm sure there is. To measure this lag, I don't really have the exact tools I would probably need to calibrate it, but it runs fine. I mean, I find this perfectly playable, and this is, you know, a game that obviously requires some quick turns and quick thinking and quick movement. And it's just a great game anyway. If you haven't played it, you probably have if you're any kind of fan of DOS, but that's Raptor, and that seems to be working great. Okay, next I want to test a game that uses a much lower resolution than all the other games that I've tested. Most of those are running at 640 by 480, and in 256 colors. Zack McCracken, this version is an earlier version, so this is going to run in 16 color EGA mode, and I think the resolution is a 320 by 280. Yeah, this is a much lower resolution, and it really looks great again. And unfortunately, I don't have the PC speaker hooked up in my box right now, which is why you're not hearing any sound. But I think it has some PC speaker sound in it. And there it is. I mean, this is the... I'm not sure if this is the original version of this game. I think it might be. I preferred the EGA version, and then of course the superior version is the FM Towns Marty version, which is actually pretty expensive. I don't own that machine or that game, but maybe one day I'll eventually get it. If you buy this game actually on GOG.com, you can get the FM Towns version, which is pretty cool. And emulating on a 65-inch is no problem with newer hardware. I'm just interested in using the actual older hardware because there's still some games that aren't available, and to be honest, some games just still don't run very well. I don't know why they haven't been optimized. Even the GOG versions of some games, especially like games like Magic Carpet, which really don't run well in high resolution mode. And unfortunately, even on this machine with no video card, it doesn't run well on high resolution mode. But let's move out of this. Now here's another game that I wanted to test because I know it displays some movies in game and it does some bizarre things. So I just wanted to run through this test program, the install program, which is really great because it can allow me to test all the options and make sure everything's working. So there I can test that the sound is working. And oddly, it's actually reversed. Anyway, the music. Cool, that's working just fine. And then it says change movie resolution. So it gives me an option: full screen, high resolution, windowed, high resolution, low resolution VGA, etc., etc. But let's test the high. It's set on full screen, high resolution. Let's test that and see what happens. And as you can see, it's displaying just fine. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on with TIE Fighter. Maybe it's a refresh rate and not an actual resolution issue, because that seems to be displaying just fine. So let's try, let's try a different resolution on here, and let's see what happens. Let's try low resolution VGA. There you can see it's definitely a different resolution, and that displays just fine as well. It's actually not that great of a difference the way I see it, but let's try one more. Let's try one of these other ones, windowed high resolution. Okay, and that starts to look a little funny, but I'm not sure. That may actually be the way it's supposed to look off to the center, because I am seeing the entire video. And we'll try the last one. Yep, okay, so it looks like that's what it's supposed to be doing. So this one actually looks like Stonekeep is just going to display just fine. So I want to quickly show you one of two games that I know for a fact have issues with this box. And some of the other games may have an issue with it that do similar things, that have different resolutions for the videos and things like that. It is going to give you some trouble. So this is TIE Fighter CD, and just the install program. Just watch what happens. So you'll see, unfortunately, the display is drastically shifted off to the right. And I don't know what causes this. It's probably just the fact that it's either a different resolution, which it looks like it is, or a different refresh rate. And it's just causing some issues with the Manta. The Manta's having a tough time displaying. Okay, the next game that I want to show you, a fantastic game, Jazz Jackrabbit, actually does present some slight problems with the Sewell Manta, but there are ways around it, and I'll show you that right now. And the main issue is during the gameplay, as the game itself displays a really odd refresh rate, but only during gameplay, which is really strange. And you can see it looks just fine. There we go, we'll play a new game. Everything looks great until we get to the actual gameplay itself, and you'll see what I mean. go, even this looks great. And you can see right now it's shifted off to the right. So I think this is just the odd refresh rate, but it is displaying, which is nice. So I'm gonna hit the auto config button and see what happens. So I hit it once and nothing happened, but I've noticed if I hit it again, that's a little better, and there we go, that's a little better. So I actually had to hit the auto config twice in order to get it to where I could see the entire gameplay screen. And now if you watch, it works fantastically. Whoops. And it actually looks really, really good. So I'll just show you that, and we'll quit now. And then if we let it go into the attract mode, which is the demo will actually take us to the bonus level. And the bonus level unfortunately suffers from the same issue you'll see here. But if I can try it again to hit the config button. If I hit the config button twice, it does adjust it to something more playable. So I just reached the end of the level, and I'm going to show you the unfortunate part about this, what happens here. So there we go, I beat the level. Everything's, looks pretty good. Okay, great, still looks pretty good. But then as soon as I get to the next level, you'll see it's shifted over again. So the unfortunate part about this is every time I go to do anything on this game, every time I beat a level, I'm gonna have to readjust and hit auto config twice. So while it is playable, it's a pretty big annoyance. And I'm gonna look into and see if there's any other boxes that may be better options. So the question you're probably all thinking of is, okay, so are you recommending this box or not? Well, the answer is yes, I would recommend this box. However, I would recommend this box because of the price point. So I've paid $30 US, I think, shipped from Amazon for this. And I like the product, given the price point. If I had paid, $100 or $200 for a device, something like similar to the FrameMeister, I would definitely not be happy with the performance, given that I'd want something, kind of an all-in-one solution. For now, this is a nice way, cheap way, to connect your DOS machine and play retro hardware, actual retro hardware, on an HDTV. And I realize, it's kind of odd to say, well, if you're going to play a DOS machine, why don't you play on a CRT? Well, I do own a CRT, and I do play on a CRT, and it's wonderful from time to time, but there's also some wonderful things about the fact that it's, 2018, more than 20 years since some of these games have come out, in some cases more than 30 years since some of these games have come out, and being able to play them on your modern television. Many of us don't have CRTs, and while it's great to try to, sometimes it just, it's convenience. We want to just have our computer set up right next to our HDTV, turn it on, and be able to just play right away. So I think the answer is yes, I would recommend this box at the price point that it's at. It's not the best thing I've ever worked with, and I'm hoping that there's another solution, maybe a more expensive one that at least can get the job done. I'm considering investing in an OSSC and seeing what options are available to me at that level, and then perhaps even I'll also ask some other folks to test out or see if I can maybe get a hold of some of these other VGA to HDMI converters. If you are wondering, this is not the only converter I own, this particular one. I also own this one here, which actually got me interested in this process in the first place. Unfortunately, this particular scaler, while it works great for Dreamcast, which is what I originally bought it for, it does not work really at all for DOS, and I think it's the low resolutions that it just can't handle. It displays a scrambled screen when I try to boot up my machine, and it's about the same price. So I recommend getting this box, which maybe I'll even do a video of it with Dreamcast just to see. but I've been told this works great for Dreamcast as well, and what probably is what most people are using it for. So again, yep, I'd recommend this for the price point. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's definitely a nice option, and it will save you from having to go out and buy a CRT and, you know, change your setup or try to find space for CRTs. Well, thank you for watching, guys, and please hit that subscribe button and leave me some comments and questions in the section, and I hope you stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.